Welcome back to Bible Bites, the show where we talk about modern trends with biblical origins. Apples are a thing we haven't treated so kindly in this show's history. But in today's episode, this apple is a beautiful thing. It's something we should show love and respect to. It's the apple of my eye. You know, the phrase we use to adorn someone with love and respect. Apple of my eye. That makes sense, right?
Or does it? The origin of the phrase, apple of my eye, is biblical, as you probably guessed by now, and the phrase is found all over the Old Testament. Its first appearance comes in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 10, when apple of my eye is used to describe God's relationship with the Israelites, calling the Israelite people the apple of God's eye. But it doesn't stop there. The phrase is then used repeatedly in Psalms, Proverbs, Lamentations, Isaiah, and Zechariah. But why use a phrase that doesn't really make any sense?
That's because they weren't using the phrase, apple of my eye. The phrase actually directly translates from the Hebrew phrase, ishon ayin, which means the pupil of my eye, which makes a lot more sense. So why then, if the Hebrew phrase translates to pupil, do we get apple of my eye?
Well, that comes from a misunderstanding of what the pupil actually was by the Anglo-Saxons, who translated the Bible. Biblical historians reason that the Anglo-Saxons used the word apple for pupil because they thought at the time the pupil was a solid ball that could fall out of your eye. In other words, they thought it to be a round object like an apple. We now know that a pupil is just a hole in your eye that lets in light and not a round ball that could be plucked out. But in the 1611 King James translation of the Hebrew Bible, we see apple of my eye replace each instance of the phrase, and for the most part, it's stuck. There are a couple of known translations that substitute for the word pupil, like the CSB or the NLT, but there really is no need to, as apple of my eye has taken on the poetic meaning of the original phrase. Although it doesn't really make any sense, it's arguably more poetic. Take this example from the famous verse in Psalm 17:8 that is translated today as, "Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings." Now, let's look at the more accurate translation. "Keep me as the pupil of the eyeball. Hide me in the shadow of your wings." A little less poetic, don't you think?
The apple of my eye being translated how it is doesn't make the Bible any less accurate. It just shows us how language can change over time and how phrases and idioms can be created and take on meanings of their own. So let us know if you knew this about that phrase and what we should learn about next time here on Bible Bites.